Hi, everybody. I'm JD Frizzell, the founder of NACC, and I'm really glad that you're here. This year's festival, 2021's festival, is completely different from anything we've ever done. To be honest, this was my dream from year one, to be able to have something at a proper convention center that was, sort of a one-stop shop where you wouldn't have to worry about how you were going to get people from point A to point B, and how you were going to get them food, and how you were going to get them back to the hotel when they were tired late at night, and all of that. And so I'm excited that we are moving here. Let me just give you a brief overview of the event. So NACC 2021 will be March 25th through 27th, 2021. It will be basically 2.5 days long. So the first evening is Thursday, the 25th, and we'll have an opening concert on Thursday, the 25th. And then we'll have a full day of classes, workshops, performances, concerts, master classes, intro sessions, keynotes, some swimming breaks at the pool, all kinds of things mixed in on Friday and Saturday. And after this call, I know that we do have some sample itineraries that we're going to have, and we're going to make those available to you all, so you can see those on the website in the next day or two that Shannon has been putting together, so you can kind of get an idea of what this might look like for your particular group. What I'm going to talk about today and focus on mostly is what this looks like for a full choral program. Moving to a venue this large is daunting. It's really expensive, it's very risky, and one of the ways that we could ensure the best experience for everyone is by trying to focus our energy on maybe like 20 or so huge choral programs, and then a decent amount of a cappella groups, as opposed to 150 to 200 a cappella groups. That's the number of groups that it would take to meet our quota for this venue. And frankly, trying to schedule 200 performances and 200 master classes and everything else is just a bit crazy, and really not something that we felt like we could do. And so we sort of came up with this idea of a hybrid event. This came to my mind at some point as we were brainstorming, because I, like many of you, I have my a cappella group or groups, and then I also have my traditional choirs. And there's some crossover between the two, but I have a ton of kids who are in regular choir who, we typically go on a trip every year. And then, of course, my a cappella group, I want to take them to a cappella festivals. So, one voice will go somewhere, and then like the next week I get back, and then I have to take the other choir kids to another trip. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could combine both things together and make one big event, and you'd only have to do one big trip for everybody. And then, of course, came all of the, well, how do we make that happen? What does this look like? How do we ensure that there's enough material and content for everyone to have a great time, enough social experiences, that that the kids all feel connected and included, and that we still leave some flexibility in there for different kinds of programs that might be coming. So we've broken it down in this way. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, we have our headlining concerts. And we aren't having one headliner, we have 5 headliners for NACC 2021, 5. We have all of them locked down, I think, but we haven't made public announcements yet, but they are from around the world, and they are some of the most amazing, groundbreaking, diverse groups in vocal music today. So I'm really, really excited about those. So stay tuned about the announcement about those 5 headliners. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. On Friday and Saturday afternoon, we have a high school and a college showcase, and those will be the top 10 groups that submit, that want to be a part of those. Those showcases will look a lot like the showcases if you've been to NACC before, or if you've been to any other event that we've produced in the past. High quality sound, individual wireless microphones for all the students, lights, video, really high quality production. We're bringing all of that with us down to Orlando. So that's for the top 10 groups that get selected for that, and those are on either Friday or Saturday afternoon, depending on high school or college. And then in addition to that, we have Aqua Pop Performances, and these are performances that will happen throughout the event in one of a few spaces that we've identified that will have a lot of people around to cheer your students on, and that will be like a memorable performance for them, 15-minute slots on those Aqua Pop performances. So all a cappella groups that do come will get a guaranteed performance slot, whether that's the Aqua Pop 15-minute slot on one of those stages, or whether it's one of the 10 slots on sound in our showcase. I'll stop there really quickly and see if anybody has questions about the a cappella group performance opportunity before I move on. All right, I'm seeing no one move, and I'm seeing no. Yes, Katie, that is auditioned. The showcases are auditioned, but everyone who brings a group, like buys passes and bring a group, you will get an Aqua Pop minimum. The audition procedure will be on the website. We're going to open that up probably in the fall, because that's when we'll be, people will be putting their videos together. And it'll be similar to the format in the past. You'll have to upload a video or two of your group performing, and we have a panel of judges that will watch those. We have a process by which we make those blind, so they don't know the schools that those are coming from. And we adjudicate them based on the AEA judging rubric. So it's not like, if I'm judging and I just like Josh's group because I like Josh and I like his kids, that I put him in. It's people who see it and they get in based on their merit. So that's really important to us. That's how we're going to do that. There's not, Darby's asking about a competition. There is not an a cappella competition. The AEA has been slowly but surely moving away from competition for quite some time. We made the move last year at NACC for the high school to go to a showcase. And frankly, the feedback was so positive from those groups that we've decided to make that the same for colleges too. So it's just, for me, it's a matter of getting rid of the nervousness about wanting to win. That seems to overshadow the entire weekend. And instead, groups can focus on making friends and having a great time, and making their best, art on stage instead of trying to beat everyone. So there is no competition. Will the showcase still be a competition with the top 3? We won't rank any of the groups publicly for the competition. You will get a score, and you will get feedback from the judges based on the AAA rubric, Josh, but we won't be like, hey, this group is the winner and everybody else sucks. We won't be doing any of that. Let's see, other questions. Judging panel creds. The judges will be some of the best clinicians in a cappella. We've already hired out our panel, and I can tell you that they are some of the very best people who absolutely know what they're doing. And I would trust them with my group any day of the week. So you can rest assured that it will be judged fairly. You can find the AEA rubric on the AEA website. If you go to acapellaeducators.com, you can look at the rubric and see what kinds of factors we're going to be looking for. All right, all good questions and all done by text. Wow, this is what efficiency. I should expect nothing else from a bunch of directors. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move on, talk a little bit about the performance section for the choir, right? All of that's probably fairly familiar to us for an a cappella festival, and very similar to what we've done in the past with NACC. Where it's different is the 2 choral elements that we are adding. So you can choose one or the other. You can't do both of these. So you can have an a cappella group and still do one of these, the choral festival, right? So the choral festival is a lot like adjudicated choral festivals that you've gone to before. We have, some people call it assessment, some people call it, their choir festival. We have a region choir festival, then we have a state choir festival. There are things like, the heritage festivals, Disney festivals, festivals in the park, all of that kind of stuff. It is an adjudicated choral festival, and we have already solicited some of the top college choir directors in the country. These are, I cannot wait to announce those, and we will be soon once we sort of iron out all the details with them. But we do have those folks already solicited. They are going to be incredible. And yes, middle school and high school. That's a good question. It's going to be on campus. So the ballroom there is actually quite beautiful. There are a few ballrooms, but the main ballroom where the choral festival will be is gorgeous. We will have shells and risers and grand pianos and everything else to make it look and sound awesome. But it's not going to be in like a dingy sound stage. It's not, the performance, for the choral festival is not going to be, in some like high school auditorium that's not very nice on like rickety risers that are going to fall down when you stand on them. Everything is top notch, top quality, and the acoustics in the space are surprisingly good. So the choral festival should be a great performance opportunity. The choral festival is also open to people to come in and watch from the event. We'll have about 2,000 people walking around. And that means that as opposed to just maybe parents, like normally when I take my choir on a trip, it's us performing in front of the judges and then the parents. That's pretty much it. They'll have a lot of people watching and cheering, which I think will be a really exciting change. So you'll do that. It's 3 pieces. Now, the only thing that's sort of different for this is that we ask that one of the pieces be a cappella and in some way contemporary. So that could be an Eric Whitacre piece, that could be Ola Yelo, that could be any other contemporary composer, but we ask that one of the pieces have no accompaniment and be contemporary. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to throw a question in the chat. But that's our tie-in there to the a cappella convention. The other 2 pieces can be accompanied if you would like. And then afterwards, you will go with one of the judges into another room and you will have a full 30 minutes to have a master class. Normally, my experience is that these clinics are about 15 minutes long. They kind of shuffle up on stage. They say a few things. They try to pick 1 or 2 things out. It's usually like, hey, Dr. Silverberg, I saw, you guys were really trying for this dynamic here, but what if we tried it this way and we did the opposite? You can change everything I said after I leave. It's totally fine. That's my experience a lot of times with this. And I really wanted to go for more of the transformational, musical, emotional thing that happens in a lot of a cappella clinics that I've been a part of, where there's enough time for the clinician to really dig in and go deep with the choir. And so that's our goal with the clinics from this choral festival. So that's the choral festival. The groups will be receiving ratings and things like that. And we're still discussing how, different awards and things like that will be made for the choral festival. But it will be adjudicated. It will be done by amazing, amazing clinicians. And it'll be a really fun, successful performance opportunity for your choir. So that's if you have enough kids that you feel like you can have a choir go. Now, let's say I have some years where I've taken my kids to New York and I have a smattering of them. Maybe I have like 30 or 40 kids that can go, but they're from 4 different choirs throughout the day. And I really don't have the time to put something together with all of them that would be musically good. And so we'll just do like an honor choir. And that's the third component performance-wise that we have at NACC. So we will have an honor choir, and again, we have one of the very best people in the country that we have solicited to do this honor choir. I'm really excited about that. I wish I could tell you who it is yet, but we've got to have a pen signed to paper before we can say it. But an amazing opportunity for your students who may just not make up a full choir, or let's just say you don't want to worry about an event for once. Sometimes I'm just lazy with a trip, like I want it to be taken care of. I don't want to stress about like finding an accompanist, or how are we going to get a cellista down to Orlando for that one piece, or whatever it is. I just want to bring my kids and know that they're going to have a really successful musical experience. That's what the honor choir is there for. And you can have any number of kids that you'd like be a part of that honor choir. The only caveat is the honor choir is strictly for the kids who are not in an a cappella group, because we really can't do both things at the same time with the schedule. It really doesn't work to have rehearsing for the honor choir and figuring out schedules for people to be in the a cappella group and do all the performances and the master classes and things like that. Your students can do the Adjudicated Choral Festival and a cappella group. So if I brought one voice and half the kids were in my concert choir as well, then that's totally fine. And that's why we're working with full choral programs first, to make sure that we can schedule things that so that they'll work for the big choral programs really well, and you won't be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. We're going to make sure that you've got a stress-free experience. Everything is on campus. I've mentioned that once. I'll probably mention it a few more times. The grounds are beautiful. The convention center is beautiful, and everything is just a few steps from one place to the next. So you walk out of the hotel room in the morning and you pass the pool and you go to breakfast, and then you walk to maybe your sound check or your first master class, and then you go to an intro session or a keynote, and then you go to lunch, and then you go to the pool for an hour, and then you go to a concert in the afternoon. It's all very close together. Something else that we thought about, I think is really important, is that we have professional security 24/7. So in addition to the hotel security, we have hired an additional security that will be roaming the campus 24/7 to enforce a pretty strict student behavior code that we will have, and a very strict curfew. I know these are all things as directors that we worry about and maybe have had to deal with once or twice. So again, we're trying to just think of everything that we can do to make the experience as stress-free as possible for you and really successful for the students. So those are the other two main performance opportunities for choirs. Before I move on, are there any other questions about any of the performance opportunities? Will the curfew apply to college students? Yes. The curfew is, it's a hotel curfew, Josh. So that's just, they close down the pools and everything like that at a certain time. So that's what that's about. Most of the hotel rooms do have a patio or a deck area, which is great. But it also means that you can hear like pretty much everything that's going on outside. So it'll be important that people are a little quieter so that, they don't have to. Do we have to stay on Disney property? It's not on Disney property. This is the Windham International Drive Resort. And I'm going to show that to you here in just a second. The Windham is about 10 minutes from Universal and SeaWorld and all those parks associated with those. And it's about 13 minutes from Disney and all the Disney parks. So it's very close. But we do ask that everybody that registers for the event stay on the property, because that's the way that we help make our quota, so that we we get to come back to the Windham next year. And that's tough. Now, if it's just a matter of like a couple of parents or something, that's something that we can certainly work through. Somebody's asking about this. Definitely can work through that. But what we don't want is, 80 people coming from a choir program and not staying on property. That's not gonna work for us very well. Will there be video and audio recording opportunities for the choral adjudications? Yes, we have a professional company lined up to come in and record all of the choral performances. Will there be a chance to jam or circle sing at night? Mark, you know it. This one of the beauteous, that's a word. One of the beautiful things about this whole event is that it's in Orlando in late March. The weather is perfect. And it is a word. Thank you, Shannon. Beauteous is a word. It's beauteous. It's about 80 degrees and perfect weather. Doesn't rain a lot in March, thankfully, in Orlando. So compared to the rest of the year. So there'll be a lot of things outside. One of the Aqua Pop stages is outside, and I've got a picture of that I can show you all in just a second. So cool. And Christina, thank you. You are right there in the area, so appreciate that. You don't have to be on property at all times. So you're going to see after the call and over the next couple of days when we send the sample schedules to you, that all of this is here for you to do as much of or as little of as possible. So some of the directors that we've talked to have said like, hey, we'd love to do like 1 or 2 of the days, like 1.5 of the days, but then, after the adjudication of the Choral Festival, we'd like to go to, Universal. Great, that's totally fine. You can do any of that you want. There's no like lockdown or anything to be on campus. And in fact, it's a very walkable area. There are over 25 restaurants within a 5-minute walk of the hotel without having to cross any major roads. So that's a huge bonus as well. Let's see, other questions. We've arranged so that the concerts don't go super late. So there's gonna be hangout time afterwards because we know a lot of the time the kids are just gonna wanna hang out. It's a beautiful place and they're gonna want to be with each other. I also know that directors, sometimes we're tired and everybody just wants to go to bed. So great, you can do that. You can just walk a few steps and everybody can go to their hotel rooms and you can threaten them, within an inch of their life to stay in there. A question about accompanists. Will accompanists be provided or a list made available? We will work with local directors to make an accompanist list. That's a great idea. So we will have that because I know that's always a challenge when you're traveling. You don't always have your accompanist with you. Josh, will there be an arranged after party like you did for NACC 2019? So, well, basically the whole thing is an after party within a festival, Josh. We do have a VIP, I think we're calling it a luau or something on Friday night. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon or Taylor, but I think we have a Friday night VIP. So that's if you want to be a part of that, you have to buy a VIP pass. Those will go on sale soon. They're a little more expensive, but imagine like live music and tiki torches and reception type thing, mingling, singing, that kind of stuff out on this really beautiful terrace. So we're going to have that party on Friday night. And of course, on the grounds, that's a good time to go talk about the grounds. Let's talk about the grounds for a second. All right, so let's see. I'm going to show you all some pictures. And I'm going to do that by sharing my screen. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Here it is. All right, does that work? Can someone nod? Yes. All right, great. So here are some images I'm going to show you of the Windham Resort. Obviously, those are non-alcoholic drinks. We'll move past those. There's one of the 2 pools. I tested it out myself. The water was a little cold, but I got in it, and that was in January. This one right here is one of our 2 Aqua Pop stages. It's outside, it's up elevated, it's really pretty. This is a double room, and it's got 2 queen beds in it. All the rooms are quad occupancy. The room rate is $139 a night, and that's pretty darn good for a resort like this. There's no resort fee that has been waived. It includes things like access to the fitness center and spa for those who are 18 or over. It includes access to all the pools, the walking trails. There's coffee, tea, water in the room daily. There are these special rooms that also have bunk beds in them. So you can get up to 6 people in those. And so we've asked for all of those to be given to us for our room block. So that really could help you get 6 people into a single room. I see some questions over here, so I'm gonna try to look at those for a second. It's $139 for quad occupancy. That includes free parking as well. We hired an event planner in Orlando, and he negotiated an awesome deal with the Wyndham for us. So we're really excited about that. I will stop sharing my screen now because it makes the internet angry. Okay, when is the registration deadline? Katie, the registration deadline for submitting for the high school and college showcase, I believe, is December 1st. And but the deadline for choir programs, we're trying to get choir programs committed this spring. I know that most choral programs make all of their trip decisions in the previous spring, and so we're trying to work with choirs, and we have 20 slots, and I think we've already filled 3 of them, and we haven't really even started advertising. So if it seems like something that you're interested in, I mentioned Taylor earlier. She is our awesome sales coordinator, and she will email you all afterwards and set up a call with you if you want to talk more about how this would work for your group. Yes, Mark, I know that choirs may not meet again this spring. I know that's tough, and we'll be flexible. Even if it's just like, hey, I think we want to do it, we have some flexibility built into our agreements with choirs. So somebody says a May 1 deadline. There's no May 1 deadline for an a cappella audition. So I'm not sure where that is. We need to make sure that if that is somewhere in the messaging, we delete that. But no, nothing is due this spring as far as auditions or anything else. And obviously we're all in the same boat with the COVID-19 stuff. So we're going to be flexible, but we do want to make sure that we have the groups that do want to come, that we're able to accommodate everybody. Does the 139 include tax and breakfast? The 139 does not include tax and breakfast. Breakfast is extra. There are local options for breakfast. So if you want to just walk to McDonald's is like 2 minutes away. There are a bunch of other places that you can go to as well. The all access pass, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, it does include lunch both days. And that's a big one. The lunches are not cheap. And it just makes it really easy during the lunch break, so no one has to leave campus. Good questions. All right. So we talked a little bit about the performance opportunities. Let's talk about the learning opportunities. So we have 6, I believe. We've hired 6 of the very best clinicians in a cappella. These are people that I would literally give one voice to and say, you can do whatever you need to. I'll just go away for a few months. And I would trust that they would do an amazing job. And so we hired them because we wanted to make sure that we got the best for your groups. So they will be doing that. Every a cappella group will get a 45-minute masterclass with one of those people. We do have a limited number of those slots. And based on last year's NACC, I expect that those will fill up very quickly. So that is something that I should mention before those go away in the fall. For the choirs, I mentioned that there's the 30-minute clinic for the Adjudicated Choral Festival. And obviously the entire honor choir experience is a learning experience. We actually have made the honor choir, we'll have learning tracks in some ways to make sure that we help you with learning the music in advance. But we are only going to make the honor choir a one-day part of the experience because we just didn't want to have kids inside a room for 2 full days for something like this. We want them interacting more and learning more from other people and experiencing, everything that Orlando has to offer. So in addition to that, we have some keynote speakers, some really high profile folks, not only from a cappella, but also from other areas that might be interesting to students. We've got some professional, Broadway musical actors and singers. We have people, I shouldn't say names, but we're talking to some very big names who also do some crossover choral type singing and work. So a lot that will be related to not just a cappella, but will be some topics that will be interesting to all singers of any kind. And then we will have some niche, I guess you'd call them interest sessions, just like you'd see at ACDA or at a normal NACC, on things like vocal percussion and bass techniques and arranging and recording and all of that. We will have those sessions as well. There's a lot going on. The convention center is huge. There's never going to be a shortage of something to do. It will always just be a matter of what do you want to do. For those of you who have come to that NACC in the past, we won't have 30-person rooms anymore. A lot of the rooms start at 70 people and go up to 600 for some of these classrooms. So we won't have that issue like we've had in the past. So any other questions about the learning opportunities before I move on? I see a question, Christina's asking about how many spots total for the stage. 10. There are 10 slots in the a cappella showcases. And then it's somewhere in the 50s, I believe, is the number of master classes and groups. I don't think we'll publicly put that out there, but we had that last year at NACC at my school. So I anticipate that will fill up very, very quickly. Are we considering doing NACC Volume 2? Haha, stay tuned, Josh. I'm not sure about NACC Volume 2 yet, but nice question. All right, cool. I'm going to move on, talk a little bit about some FAQs that we've been getting from different people as we have been talking to them already. So you can do comments only if you don't want a rating in the Adjudicated Choral Festival. That's totally fine. Again, there is no competition for the a cappella groups, and that's very purposeful. I started doing this with my Briarcrest Invitational, and frankly, it's become one of our favorite events that we do, because everybody's just there to learn and grow and make friends, and it changes the whole feel of the entire festival. So that is a big thing, but I think people who have experienced that will understand. What does it cost? This is a big one. So it's a 3-day festival, 5 headliners, and on a proper thing. We've done everything we can to keep the cost low. The early bird all access pass is $199 per person, and that's the festival. So then you get your hotel pass, on top of that, and obviously you have to make your way to Orlando. One of the things that I want to say about our choice to go to Orlando, it is the #1 destination for choirs, bands, and orchestras in the country. It also has the 2nd cheapest round trip average airfare in the country, and it has a lot of nonstop flights. So very cheap and easy to get to Orlando as well. The hotel is $139 a night, Christina. So that's separate. This is festival only. Cool. All right. So once we hit December 1st, the early bird deadline will go away and the passes will go up to $249. Now, here's the deal: for if you decide you're going to bring your choir, every 30 students you bring, you get a free director. So, if you bring 60 kids, then you can bring yourself and your assistant or your favorite choir mom or whomever. The festival cost is the same for everyone. So that $199 is a truly all access pass. If you have a student who's in an a cappella group and then they're also in your advanced women's choir and they want to be in the choral festival, great, totally fine. If you've got somebody that just wants to come and do the honor choir and then go to a bunch of classes and concerts, great, same price for everybody. Keeps it easy. Chaperones could count as a director if you have enough kids coming. So if you have 90 kids coming and you want to give 2 chaperones free passes, that's totally fine. Chaperones also have the option if they don't want to go to anything and they're like, hey, I want to sit at the pool and I'll help you check kids in at night. I mean, they can just stay on property. There are some things that we'll ask that they do, and things like we do have some food and beverage minimums, so we try to cater some meals there on campus, and we might ask something like that. But if you have a bunch of chaperones that want to go and they don't necessarily care about like throat-based singing or whatever else we have in our interest sessions, then they can just stay at the resort and enjoy a beautiful time. Are chaperones required? Yes, there is a chaperone requirement. Shannon, we haven't necessarily talked about that next, or we haven't talked about that yet, but we need to. There will be a minimum, either director or chaperone ratio. And we'll share that information obviously with you throughout the registration process. Yes, Katie, I can't imagine schools would let kids go without proper chaperones. I would hope not, but we will set some standards. You would be surprised. Yes, Shannon says that. We might. Do college choirs need chaperones? No, unfortunately, they don't. But there is as I mentioned earlier, there is a strict behavior policy, and that is in place for the safety, security, and general peace of mind for all of us. And so we've been crafting that very carefully, our team of teachers that are on the event team, and we will make sure that that is enforced well. Is there a cost to participate in the honor choir? Nope. That is also included in the all access pass, no additional fees. I will say that, if you've done other events, I got an email today about going to Carnegie Hall, and I know there are a lot of those, and I've done them and they're great. This one was so that you can perform for 20 minutes, I think, on stage, and it was $999 a student. Not for the hotel, not for the flight, just for the performance opportunity. So we're hoping that hitting this price point of $199, while it is an increase from what we've had in the past at NACC, we hope that you guys can see the value that we've tried to pack into that all access pass. All right. Any other questions on that? Cool. Let me go back to my FAQ. What's included in the all access pass? Just to clarify, 5 concerts, lunch both days, all the classes, all performance opportunities, masterclass for a cappella group, masterclass for the choir. What amenities are on campus? There are 2 pools. There's a fitness center and spa. There are walking trails. There's free parking, free local shuttle. This is great too. So you're going to see a lot of our messaging talk about how this is a turnkey experience. This is just me basically being selfish because I might end up bringing my kids next year or in a future year. And I like things to be easy for me because I don't know, it's hard enough being a teacher, right? So all you have to do is get from the airport to the convention center, the hotel. That's all you have to do. There are free shuttles that go to all the Universal parks and SeaWorld from the hotel. And there are very inexpensive shuttles to Disney, very inexpensive. So all of that is really close by. And you won't have to rent buses or do anything like that. You'll just get on the shuttles, go to the park, come back and sleep in your comfy hotel bed. So that's it. How close is the hotel to the parks? Very close. It's a 10-minute drive to Universal and SeaWorld. It's a 13-minute drive to all of the Disney parks. So super, super close to anything and everything. All right. The rooms also include in-room tea, coffee, and bottled water that's replenished every single day. That's all a part of what they normally charge a resort fee for, but they have waived the resort fee for us as well. All of that's included in the $139 per night quad occupancy rate for the hotel. What about attractions, local attractions? Those would have to be added on. So if you wanted to do a Disney day on Thursday and then go to the opening night concert on Thursday night, great. We've kind of built that in there for that. You can even go on Wednesday night. We have rooms blocked for Wednesday night if you want to come in and go to a park on Wednesday. And then we have another flex day built in on Sunday. So if you want to go to a park on Sunday, you could do that as well. Like I said, we try to have a lot of flexibility because some choirs, you know, one park day is enough. And some people, they're like, yeah, the music stuff is great, but we really need to go to 3 parks. So you do have that ability as well. We have partnered, and I think I can say this publicly. No, I know it's official, but we've partnered with a very big travel company. They're the #1 provider of educational travel to Disney in the country, and they put together custom packages for anyone who wants it. They have discounted group passes to all the parks, and they can arrange for your flights, your NACC passes, your hotel, parks, shuttles to the airport, anything you need, they can put it all together for you and make that really turnkey. So that's something, if you're interested, Taylor can help you make that happen while you're talking to her about potentially registering. Transportation companies that we'll be recommending, all of that will be handled through Bob Rogers. So if you are interested in doing that, they will help you make that happen, Chris, getting from the airport to the hotel and vice versa. Yeah, Katie, okay, we can say it is Bob Rogers Travel. They are the travel sponsor, and we will be making a big old announcement about it soon. But again, the idea is to just make all of this as easy and turnkey as possible for you. All right. Let's see. There's stuff walking distance too. There's the Icon Park, which has like this big Ferris wheel thing. There's a Ripley's Believe It or Not, a bunch of stuff like that within a 5-minute walk. Headliners, some of the best from around the world. I mentioned that earlier. What measures do we take to ensure student safety? I mentioned this, but I'll say it again. We have additional security cards on top of the hotel's security that they already have in place. They will help enforce the student code of conduct, curfew, etc., 24 hours a day so that you can rest and not worry about them. What's the weather like? The average high in Orlando in March is 79 degrees with very little rain. So basically perfect. That's my FAQ. And that's the like fastest, believe it or not, version of the story that I can tell. I will now open it up. Oh, hi Kylie. I will now open it up to anybody. If you've got questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. This is sort of an open forum time. David is asking where everybody is from. He is starting an a cappella group at his school next year. We've been emailing about that. It's good to see David's face. I know David's in South Carolina. I'm in Memphis. I know that Mark is in New York, right? Long Island, I believe. Josh is in Calabasas, California. It's beautiful out there. Shannon's in Shannon's in Boston. Chris Cross is in Arkansas. Trying to see where else we have folks here. I believe that's David Speaks. Is that David? David, type in the chat if that's you. I don't want to speak out of turn. Okay, David, you're Virginia. That's right. Yep. It's thunderstorms in Southern California right now, Josh says. That is unheard of. Wow. All right. I see Tommy Choi is here. Hi, Tommy. A few other folks that I'm not sure who they are. Who's the Emily? You don't have to like, oh, Emily. Is it Emily? Oh, Emily R. from Texas. Hi, Emily. A lot of friends here on the chat. Cool. So, David, hopefully that gave you an idea of the directors from quite honestly all over the country. Very cool. All right. Any other questions about NACC? I realize that it was a lot of information. I know that the idea of doing one event for your choir is huge. If it's something that you really, aren't thinking will work for you quite yet, that's totally fine. I understand. You can still bring your a cappella group, and we still want you to. Definitely. And we'll be opening that registration in about a month and a half. We know that most a cappella groups do all their registering for stuff in the fall. So that's when all of that will probably happen for most groups. But again, like I mentioned, we wanted to make sure that we could ensure a really high quality experience with the scheduling for people bringing their full choir and a cappella groups. If you're interested in any more information, Taylor will be emailing you, and you can schedule a call with her. She knows as much about the event, I think, as I do, if not more. And she can help you answer any of your questions and figure out what might be the best fit for your group, whether it's doing the honor choir or doing the choral festival and a cappella stuff. She can help you figure that out, as well as all the different permutations of the schedule that you can do. What is the max number of groups you intend to host for NACC? Tommy, our capacity is somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 people. It's within that range. So however many groups that works. I will say the choral programs, we're topping out at about 20 choral programs. And I think we have 3 already who are coming. We have room for a few more actual choirs in the choral festival. So like if one of those choral programs brought 2 choirs, that would work. But there is a little bit of scarcity there. I think that we'll probably top out at like 60 to 70 a cappella groups, and we might be able to eke in a few more. But between the 60, 70 a cappella groups and the 20 full choral programs, we're looking at 1,500 to 2,000 people at the event, which is cool. It'll be the biggest event in a cappella history. So very excited about that. Any other questions? Yes, Katie, of course, we are happy to be flexible. We just want to make sure that we do our due diligence when it comes to ensuring that we can meet all of our deposit payments and things like that on our end. With a venue like this, the budget is much larger than we've ever dealt with in the past, and so we're just being very cautious on our end. But at the same time, a lot of us are teachers ourselves, and so we understand how all of this is working. Who's doing online teaching? Is anyone here doing that right now? Katie is. I had day 1 today. That was fun. Hey, Shannon's doing it. You guys are doing it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we actually have a concert or not. But right now we have been, we do Microsoft Teams, and I have the kids record themselves with part tracks and accompaniment tracks and sheet music, and they upload them into our software. And of course, I already hate it and have kids complaining and whining. And I'm like, it's okay. It'll be okay. This is new for everybody. But I see that most of you are doing this too. So, oh, Katie's going on maternity leave. Bless you, Katie. Good wishes. Goodness. But it's going to be fun. It'll be a new challenge, and we'll all make it through together. There are a lot of resources that I've seen posted online for different ideas for choirs. I'm using Flipgrid, which is kind of cool to get some instant feedback and video quizzes. But we are here if you need us. The AEA is planning on releasing some helpful content to try to bridge the gap over the next month. So just stay tuned for that as well. We are here to help in general, but feel free to reach out as you're self-quarantining over the next 2 to weeks as we all navigate these new waters together. This is a future question. Yes, NACC will be every year. I know we took this last year off, and that was kind of weird. it was a risk that people might forget us. Thank you for not forgetting us, but we really needed to devote all of our energy into planning for, you know, this event that is much, much larger in scope and everything else. So we'll have 2021, and then we'll have 2022, 2023, etc. That answer your question, Chris? Hopefully so. Cool. All right. Any other questions from anyone before we end? And we did it in less than an hour. That was my goal. And I know your time is precious, and I'm so appreciative that you took this time to come in and join us. Mark, it's just nice to have human contact. Well, let's see how we feel about that in 2 weeks. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Katie. Everybody have a great night. We'll be reaching out to you to see if you have any questions in the coming days, understanding completely that we're all in a weird boat and probably nobody can commit at this point to anything. We're just trying to see, you know, what choirs might be really interested. So thanks for your time. Have a great night, everybody. See you later.
Dig it down.